Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. Let's dig right into what we're talking about, shall we? This whole week we've been talking about constructing, being the contractors of our lives and constructing the house that we really want to live in. That's where the vibrancy resides. And we talked yesterday about the Three Little Pigs. I mean, how long ago was that you listened to the story about the Three Little Pigs? But there were lessons to be gleaned from that whole situation. We learned, and not unsurprisingly, that it was the third pig who was the one that showed resilience, persistence, consistency. He was the one that the two little pigs go running to. So he saved pig one and pig two's bacon, literally, didn't he? From the big bad wolf. But have you ever noticed how some people, and maybe that's you, have this tendency to either bounce back just really quickly from a setback, or else they 100% entirely give up on their dreams? Have you noticed that? There are some people that seemingly seem unaffected. It's like, okay, so this put me down, but I'm just going to bounce right back up and get it done anyway. And then there's other people who say, well, that wasn't for me. Oh, woe is me. And I'm going to bore everybody to tears telling you the woe is me's tragic story and why I'm such a victim and why my dreams will never come true and everybody else's will, but they don't have what I do. You know the story. Which one are you? Well, guess what? We get to choose to be resilient if we want to. Resilience doesn't just happen, by the way. Resilience is built. It's like a muscle. It's like one brick on top of the other. Just like that third little pig built his house, he used bricks to create the resilient home that he resided in. It was his building materials. And that for us is our mindset. If we make a decision that we're going to be resilient, even when we don't know how, guess what? The how will show up and the resilience will carry you through. So what do you think? What do you think about that? The thing is, what I see is that some people, and they even face the same adversity, by the way, the same adversity. They've both been thrown back by some kind of circumstance, an illness perhaps, or some kind of a loop that's just thrown them. But one gets up, dusts himself off, and goes straight ahead. And the other one says, that's it, my dreams are done. And the difference, of course, the differentiator between both of them is resilience. So here's what the dictionary says about resilience. It's the capacity and the ability to withstand or recover from difficult conditions. It is toughness. Now, a second definition, which I think is interesting, is also the ability of a substance to spring back into original form and get back into shape. It's elasticity. Well, I think both are absolutely applicable here because we need both of those things. We need to be able to spring back, and we also need to be able to withstand and stand firm regardless of what's going on around us. Easy, no. Possible is yes. Possible is yes. So we can make a definite case, right, for Pig 3's amazing resilience. The thing that I noticed in this when I started to break down what the lessons were, it wasn't just one thing. He had it in heart, mind, body, and soul. That's our theme for the Daily Dish, that we're bringing vibrancy back to your heart, mind, body, and soul. Why is this? It's because our life is all of these things. It's not just one thing. And when we focus on just one thing, we get really disappointed and shot down quickly. But if we can focus on everything and know that everything, and not piling on, not multitasking, but looking at each part of our lives and seeing that it's all connected. There's synergy there. And pig 3 saw that. He saw what he needed to do. And he stayed at it, even though I'm going to bet, this is my thought. Remember pig 1 and pig 2, what were they doing? They were playing, singing, and dancing. Don't you think pig 3 wanted to do that too? These were his brothers. He grew up with these guys. And they're out there having a good old time with their little sloppy houses all built, the straw and the stick houses, while pig 3 is sitting there diligently, day after day, putting those bricks up and creating a really strong house. I know he was sorely tempted. But when it came down to it, and pig 1 and pig 2 lost their house to a big bad wolf, he provided protection, he provided a home, he provided a place for his brothers. This is what happens when we become resilient. We have room in our lives for others. We're not just all wrapped up in our victimhood. We're not just all wrapped up in what's happening to us. There's room for more. Isn't that a cool thing? So every experience that we have in this life, everyone has some kind of an experience where it's rough and tumble and pushing you down and having to get back up. But you know, we could look at our lives and see, is this providing me a valuable experience? Is it? What can I extract from this experience to help me with the next go round? Because there's more than one go round, isn't there? It's just like getting in the boxing ring, right? This is round 1, round 2, round 3. What are you going to learn? What are you going to learn from round 1? Well, if your opponent has a strong left hook, you're going to figure out a way to block that left hook. If your opponent is going to try to get you up against the ropes, you're going to come out and try to keep him in the center. We figure out what needs to be done by the lessons that we have learned. That is resilience. And that is also one of our factors, one of our mainstays here at the Daily Dish. We talk about it a lot, is the experience file. Meaning that any experience that we've had in the past, we extrapolate the lesson and we leave the emoting behind, because the emoting is what we get caught up in. It's like a whirlpool and it just wants to suck us down and take us away. When in fact, what it is that we need is we need the ability to step up and step into, what did this teach me? What can I take from this? Because that's the only thing that's of value there. The rest of it, really, we can. And that's not, again, to say that we dismiss our feelings or dismiss the way we feel or dismiss what happened. It's just merely the idea that we need to step into a different type, a different tenor, a different way of living our lives. And we get to do that. We get to do that when we choose to use the experience file instead of beating ourselves up for what just happened. So how do we keep going then? Do we choose grit or do we choose quit? Do we give up on our dreams or do we put our heels down and grind in and make a decision for resiliency? So here's what I would bet. If pig 3 were here, the little builder of that big brick house with the chimney and the fireplace, and you know what happened to that big bad wolf, what would he offer? What would his advice be? Okay. Maybe they should be female pigs. I have a feeling they were female pigs and they had some wisdom there. And by the way, I happen to love pigs. When I was in college, I did an animal husbandry class and I got pigs. They're smart, they're intelligent, they're funny, and they're amazing creatures. And boy, the bacon is good. Can't deny that. But anyway, I do have a firsthand experience dealing with pigs. And I will tell you this, they're almost like dogs, which is kind of tragic when you consider that we do like to eat them. But I will tell you that pig number three had some wisdom. And I think this is what pig number 3 would offer. Is number 1, you have the strength to pick yourself up. You have the strength to pick yourself up. Remember, use your experience file so you can create a better plan, so you can use different skills and better skills. And, maybe this time create a different outcome. That would be, I think, pig number 3 would say that. Number 2 is blessed are the flexible. Boy, we've talked about that before. Blessed are the flexible, because we talked about this as well yesterday. You always need a plan B to go with your plan A, and maybe even a plan C. because things don't always perfectly go according to plan. But excellency dwells in the place of flexibility. So if you have a plan A and then maybe a plan B and a plan C, I always think of it in terms of food. This is what I have planned. Then I get stuck in traffic. Then this happened. So what can I do that's fast and easy, that doesn't ruin my food plan in the first place? Well, there's something sitting there in the freezer, or you've got a quick thing that you can do, or a quick skillet meal that you can do that's going to work. Plan B, plan C. But you know what? Stuff happens, and flexibility is the shift. It aids in the shift. So number 3 is curiosity. If you are curious and you start thinking about the what ifs in the plan of, say what Pig 3 thought. Well, what if a big bad wolf comes along? What do I need in order to protect myself from this horrible creature? Well, he built with bricks. That was the decision that he made. And I believe that it helps us to get to the solutions to keep us away from the wolves in our lives. Let's just face it, we all have a wolf breathing down our necks. There are big bad wolves out there. There are people who are going to want to pull the rug out from underneath you and disrupt your plans. Also, I would look at that and say, there's also cravings. There's some, wolves within. We all have to deal with that. How can we best deal with it? Well, I say we get solution-oriented instead of focusing on the problem. Solution-oriented opens the door to curiosity, imagination, and what-ifness. Number 4, it does take a village. I will tell you over and over again, yes, it takes a village. We need each other. This is proven fact that it is in our DNA that we need to have each other. So what does that mean? That means we ask for help, we encourage someone else, and then what happens is that we watch our resilience grow. Our resilience grows simply because we're doing the right things. And then there's number 5. High five yourself, because there's a dopamine hit that comes from that high fiving. Have you figured that part out yet? I will tell you, and I just coached with some clients, they're high fiving themselves, and it's made all the difference in the world, because you do get that dopamine hit. You do get that, yeah, I'm going to keep doing that. And you know what? It makes it easier for the next time, because resilience is built on the back of that. Number 6 is a good one. You're going to love this. Resilience people laugh. Have you noticed that? They've got maybe a little bit more of a sense of humor. They can laugh at themselves even. They can say, well, that didn't work. Ha, 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 ha. Not that they're pleased, but if we can take ourselves maybe a little less seriously, then maybe we can drop some of this stuff and just say, okay, now what? Reset, recalculating. Anybody ever have you remember the old time navigation devices? Listen, oopsies happen, but it diffuses the situation when you can laugh about it, and it helps you to shift and to focus on the solution, and just take it in stride. And understand that it's never going to go simply and easily. It's never a straight line. It's more of a squiggle all over the place trying to figure things out. But let me just say this. A wise woman builds her house with bricks of resilience, with grit, stamina, persistency, and consistency. And I have to ask you a question, that this is the thing that's just been sticking in my craw. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time to start building and stop tearing down, and using quality materials to get us the house that we want? The house of resilience is the house of vibrance. What do you think of that? Peace be with you. Thanks for joining me today. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.